Sunday afternoon of your week 14 of season 25 of the Simulation Football League, set to kick off the first game here at Northwood Stadium at St. Paul, Minnesota. The Minnesota Legend, they have lost the rights to win the Central Division thanks to Denver's 45-10 win last night over the Oklahoma City Renegades. Their only pathway to the playoffs in season 25 is through the wild card. They must win tonight. Meanwhile, Vancouver chasing a 8th win on the season after a heartbreaking loss at home last week to the DC Dragons. Alongside me to unpack all the action from what should be an entertaining contest is none other than Jesse Long. Jesse, your keys to the game this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Going into this game, I had a moment to talk with Brett Killian. He told me the key is to get right into top gear, open the throttle, and fire up their offense quickly. And to counter that, I talked to Minnesota's head coach Axel Raven. He mentioned getting hat-on-hat, one-on-one assignments to cut down on Vancouver QB Christian Brown's efficiency and not give up the home run ball in the air while protecting the ground against Devin Lloyd and J.W. Doyle. Neither of their team can afford a loss, and there can only be one winner when it's all said and done here on the Virtual Football Network.
Pleasure to have your company here on the VFN. Rochelle Colston and Mark Mello on stats with us this evening. Commissioner Cameron Irvine producing, as always, for the best football network here on YouTube. Minnesota's going to get early possession here, led out by their quarterback in Johnny Reno. We'll start with spread receivers. They'll be looking to get all three of these backs involved early. It's Hart in the backfield behind Barmer. He'll get the opening carry, giving him 7. And a good start for number 23.
Absolutely. Very good start there. Let's do the roll call here.
In a second, it was an early touch for Hart. It's now Knox in the backfield. It'll be a draw play up the middle. Design quarterback run for Reno. No good on that play. It'll be a 3rd down and 1. He's still got positive yardage on that carry. Give him 2. And they'll bring Hart back out there for the 3rd and short. Still in a Joker's formation. Vancouver will stack the front. Hand off to the right-hand side. Hart, he got it just barely. Jesse, wonder if that was perhaps a half yard short. Tentatively, they're going to give him the 1st down.
That might be a challenge, so keep an eye on the red flag coming out. A great tackle by Mark Lopez.
It was challengeable, but Andy Hamilton will keep the flag in the pocket for the time being. And Minnesota with a fresh set of downs. They're going to motion, looks like E.J. Minson across to the other side of the formation here. First drop back for Reno, throws short, that is incomplete. We'll introduce the Minnesota Legend offense. Johnny Reno at quarterback, the 2 backs, Isaac Knox and Colin Hart. Jay Barmer, the fullback, Craig Mam, Deezer Powell, Jay Taylor, E.J. Minson and Jason France, the eligible receivers. Carly Forge, Axel Raven, Ruthie Raven, and Griffin King make up the contract offensive linemen. Reno again in a single back with Hart off to the right. Hart's going to run a route. Reno will throw flat across the middle. Minson could not hang on. And Vancouver have an opportunity to get off the field here with 3rd down and long.
Once again, there's a good play there by Mark Lopez. He's really good at not only playing run coverage, but also protecting the run. One of the reasons that Vancouver is one of the better teams on defense is because of Mark Lopez and all 15 seasons of his excellency back there.
Going to a triple here on 3rd down and long, but the receiver will motion across in Jay Taylor to make it a quads look. 4-1 to counter. They're going to run at Minnesota, so no gamble taken by Johnny Reno there on the 3rd down and long. The sideline elects to close the playbook there on the long attempt, and it'll be punted away by Mickey Melillo.
And it's hard not to scratch your head on that. They're one of the better teams on 3rd down. They're 3rd in the league at it, first in converting it, but I guess they were trying to catch him off guard, but there's just too many good run-supporting safeties on that Vancouver squad.
Ezekiel Bear, always a risk of getting those returns downfield. Had one in the DC game that set them up for a potential game-winning drive that ended in an interception for Christian Brown. That one ended 24-21. CB4 leads out this offense with backs Devin Lloyd, JW Doyle, Jalen Wells at the fullback spots, Nick Lockett, D'Angelo Lopez, Brett Killian and Ezekiel Bear. The receivers, John Michael Sudduth had a good game last week out at the tight end position. The offensive line, Gregory Wynell, Frank Burks, Mango Moody, Zach Turner and Oliver Couch. Trips to the top of your screen, Minnesota in a 4-2. We hand off up the middle. Good play calling by the Minnesota sideline. They expected the run. Devin Lloyd shut down for a loss of 1.
Great tackle there by Stephen Black, 9 seasons in the league, 5th with Minnesota. And, you know, he might not be the most popular guy in the room, but he is a very solid player.
Drop back again by Christian Brown. They threw out of this look quite a bit last week, and he's found an open target downfield. We'll check the penalty. Tentatively, John Michael Sudduth has a first down. The penalty will go against the Legion. One of the linemen ran downfield, and Oliver Couch will have the offense pushed back by 5 yards.
Yeah, it's those mental mistakes sometimes that happens, and you got to really lock them down and tighten them down. That takes a first down gain of about 15, and then sets you back 5.
Do an empty bunch on a 2nd and 14. Brown will throw again. He's got the first down nonetheless. Give him about 16 on that reception. John Michael Sudduth. Funny how that works.
He really is, and it's very easy to make it work when you've got such a big body to throw to. 6'7", 278, and John Michael Sudduth, 452 yards on the season. He's going to add about another 20 on that, and also 2 TDs. You know, it's very easy to get lost in all these wide receivers and forget that they have such a strong, dynamic, and big playmaker in their offense in Sudduth.
Into the Joker's look again. We saw this last week. They have receivers in the tight end spots in this look, so they throw out of it. And Killian downfield inside the 10.
No, you cannot do that. If you allow Brett Killian to get into wide open spaces in your defensive backfield, he is just going to slice, dice, and carve you up nice. Look at that. Very simple inside throw. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that, and it doesn't look any easier than that.
Spot them 11 yards away from the scoring stripe. Brown will throw for a 3rd straight play. Waits in the pocket, threw it towards the outside, and it was Sudduth again with the target, but no completion.
You know what, Sudduth, I get it, right? Take the big body against the defensive back all day long, but it was just not a good throw, and a potentially dangerous throw, too.
Fullback in the backfield here on this play. Brown's going to throw. Rolls around the pocket. He's going to run. Christian Brown, give him 9.
Yeah, and he also not only makes a good play out there, but, you know, there is a responsibility on the playmaker out there. Minnesota, Derek Meerkat, I don't know what he was quite looking for there, but he lost the assignment, and Christian Brown was able to get a couple more yards off of it.
Minnesota's linebackers backed up on their goal line. They're going to toss it to Lloyd, who is tackled in the backfield. Huge result for Minnesota. They were backed up, and flying through the gap was Stephon Forge to shut it down.
Stephon Forge, man, just so fine on the dime right out there. He breaks through the outside lip, and you know, I guess the goal was to set up the play, but he broke off of his hat and then found a way to make a tackle for loss and force a field goal attempt.
Chance to win with a relative chip shot there to open up the scoring. A 7-play drive for Vancouver goes 50 yards worth. Only results in a minor score.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, you know, you got to lock it down in the red zone. You know, you never want to have the mentality of like, okay, well, they're in the red zone now. Let's try to get them out of it. Let's try not to give up the touchdown here. You know, when you look at Minnesota's ability to, I just knocked over my speaker. I don't need it right now. Anyway, there's game on.
Let's do stuff around the broadcast, but there's not enough space for you. Return by Mam up past the 30. Decent result there. It was almost broken free.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a glitch on the sheet here for a moment, so I found the info I was looking for. So Minnesota's defense in the red zone is in the top 10. And receiving TDs allowed, they're kind of hovering near the middle, so to be able to hold them to only a field goal, that's a testament to playing very well in the moment.
3 wide. wide in the spread. They're going to hand it to Barmo, who's got plenty of room to run into. He'll pick up 7. Interesting, left chance to win. Didn't kick a field goal in that DC game. 3 touchdowns for the Vancouver offense. And again, we talked about this last night during the Denver game. Minnesota were in that incredible game last Monday night. Into a Joker's look, handoff to Hart, who's dumped in the backfield. They were relentless there in sending the pressure, and it was Jack Russell who got the end look at it with 3rd down and 3.
And he might have got shut down on that one play, but remember, it's the law of averages. You know, you get it a lot and get it a little. 4.3 yards per carry. Minnesota's 2nd in the league in that number.
Palmer's going to get another touch, and Vancouver says no here, and it will be dumped again, and they'll get off the field. Josh Farnsey, veteran inside linebacker, straight in there to shut down the second fullback dive of the drive, and it will be a punt from Melillo for a 2nd time today.
And great job by the 10-season Vancouver natural and 3-time All-Star. He took a trip to the All-Star game, season 24, and just, wow, finds it, shuts it down, blows it up in the backfield.
The Legion will be spotted 35 yards away. Again, opening score of the game, a 24-yard field goal from chance to win. Brett Killian had a huge grab on that opening possession. Christian Brown takes over again here. He's got Wells in the backfield. 3 receivers down the bottom. Draw play at the middle to Wells. Shut down at the line of scrimmage. Linebackers exchanging blows on either side. Jason Clay with a early tackle there.
Good job by Matthew Alvarado to sniff out that play. Season 24, defensive player of the season. And just a great job there to shut it down, bottle it up.
Alvarado also made the All-Star game last season. That's another run blown up behind the line of scrimmage. No room for Wells again. That time it's a different linebacker, Stephen Black, checking in there.
Well, you know, they brought in Jalen Wells to get a little more action and power in running the football, but he got hit by one member of the gauntlet after another on that one.
It'll be a 3rd down and long. Empty backfield. Killian's going to try and find space on the other side of the field. Drop back by Brown, a good protection, throws across, that is incomplete, but there'll be laundry, and Vancouver will get a free 1st down.
Defensive pass interference here, and I think this just might have, well, let's take a look here. You've got the free safety here, and there was a lot of commotion there, and it looked like somebody was eventually going to go down for it, and Slim Shady just ended up being the one on the wrong end of that call. But it looks like the right call. There's a lot of commotion going on in there.
Spots Vancouver up at halfway now. Undoes all that good work that the linebacking core did to shut down the running game. We'll see if they go back to it here. It's been the air work that has succeeded so far for the Legion. Into a triple. Brown with a short drop back throws. That was well caught there in the midfield by Killian for a gain of 6.
It really was, because there were a lot of bodies on that right side. Just quick step, 50 smash drop. He just has to get it out instantly the moment he gets it. And Brett Killian's able to snag it down with one hand. You know, the usual.
Into a split Joker's look here. Receiver will be moved across to the other side of the formation. Stack of 2 down. That way they're going to get extra run blocking, and it's Wells on the carry. He is shut down after a gain of just a yard. We'll introduce the Minnesota defense in this break. Angela Meerkat at the defensive end spot. Mark Mello, the defensive tackle. Matthew Alvarado, Stephen Black, BJ Loveless, and Stephon Forge. The linebackers, Chris Dash, Nicholas Frossel, Johnny Bravo, David Leathers, Slyn Shady, and Derek Meerkat, the secondary. 3rd and short. They're going to hand it to Lloyd. It'll be a 4th and 1. They don't give him the 1st down. Stephen Black tentatively with a impressive tackle. Wonder if that one is challenged by Andy Hamilton.
There it is. Yeah, we were expecting that. I think we all were. You were, I was, the crowd at home, the guy selling hot dogs. I think everybody knew that the flag was going to come out on that.
And we'll take a second look at it here. It looked like Lloyd got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
got
he's
behind the
got
guard.
that.
Black got him, but he was at least a yard beyond the line to gain there.
Well, you know, the yellow line, it's always interesting. It's not always where you think it really should be, but that one was clearly very overturnable.
Andy Hamilton 1 for 1 on challenges this afternoon. And it means that Minnesota's defense will have to try again here. Devin Lloyd got the first down. Minnesota's defense gets the reset here. Vancouver back into a triple formation. They backed it away there. It's Wells who broke the first tackle, got a block downfield, and will pick up 12. Best run of the day so far for any of the Vancouver backs.
Nick Frossel down 2. You never like seeing that. Nicholas Frossel, 5 seasons here in Minnesota. But that was a great play by Jalen Wells. He got his vengeance on the tackler on that one, knocking him down. And a lot of times you have the setup and you're counting on the broken tackle to really break it big. And that's exactly what Jalen Wells did there.
Triple formation down to the bottom. We'll check on Frossel in a bit. Minnesota tentatively down a corner. Right at the middle. In goes Wells. Ran straight at it. Starsh, who managed to hold him up enough for Stephen Black to hold him on there. Matthew Alvarado's down.
Dropping like flies. Alvarado's down. Frossel's out. And there's not really a lot of depth at the starting positions of Minnesota. You know, Minnesota's also got, this is something that Vancouver needs to take advantage of right now before they find their way back onto the football field.
Into a split Jokers looks, and now they're down one of their star inside linebacker and their nickel cornerback as well. And with only 2 contracted off defensive linemen out there this afternoon, it makes things tricky for them in the front 7 department. But Brown's going to throw downfield, and it was into the mitts of Nick Lockett, who made an absolute meal of that position last week. He was brilliant against the Dragons. Checks in early here in the first quarter.
You know, I always love watching any SFL game, but whenever I can watch Vancouver or call a game with Vancouver, it's a real treat to watch Nick Lockett out there. He is a playmaker. He doesn't let the fact that Brett Killian gets most of the glitz and glamour and has his name called a lot more affect him from making huge plays.
Toss play. Oh, Wells. Wells was still going. He's tackled 5 yards away from the end zone strike there, but a brilliant run from Jalen Wells.
Oh, Jalen Wells just reminds Stefan Forge that sometimes the hammer can hit you right back just as hard as the nail can get hit. Wow, that was something.
Brown with design run, no one touched him, and Vancouver's got the opening touchdown of the game.
Oh, wow, let's look at that. I mean, they caught him right off the guard in the moment. It looked like they had the same package out there, and they decided that they were just going to kind of, we're going to do an outside QB run. They shifted it out to the right, and there was nothing but real estate in front of them. Christian Brown puts a little bit of flair on it and does a little back flippery and front flippery, but that was just a really, really great call and a finish to finally scoring in the end zone.
It's a disappointing result for Minnesota. They had gotten a third down and short stop that got overturned by a challenge from the sideline. They lost 2 players to injuries on that drive. Again, Nicholas Frossel first, and the very next play, Matthew Alvarado went down. And then they find themselves down 10 points to nothing.
Very true. What Minnesota has to do on this offensive drive is they have to find the end zone. Like, they really can't be thinking field goal here. They have to find a way to punch it in and answer back with a score. Give their defenders some time to rest in the medical tent, get back, and also show this Vancouver squad and get this home crowd more into the game and let them know that they're still in it. They're fighting to survive.
Empty backfield, 3 wide on the bottom of your screen. No linebacker covering the middle of the defense for Vancouver for the time being. Drop back by Caught for a gain of 3 there. EJ Minson gets that grab. Will introduce the Vancouver defense. Kevin Brackett, Achilles Papatonis and Chris Joseph are defensive ends. Gerald Judasessi, the lone defensive tackle. Josh Farnsey, DJ Woods and Marquise Reed, your linebackers. Emmanuel Blackman, Michael Lister, Ron Hoff, Jack Russell, Drew Hamilton and Michael Lopez, your secondary. Again, a drop back. Caught by Jason France for a first down. Reno completes back-to-back passes. And Minnesota's on the move.
Well, just a really good example of Johnny Reno. These plays have time to develop, but rather than try to get the home run ball every time, he takes what the defense and gives him, and that's adding up to nice, positive gains, just moving the ball forward. If you keep moving the ball forward, you're going to get somewhere, and that somewhere is eventually going to be the end zone.
5 wide again. Reno drops back once more, throws deep, he was hit, and it is incomplete.
Yeah, he was hit. It looked like Gerald Judasessi was right in his grill the moment he went to throw that football. This Vancouver Legion defensive line is just an absolute terror to all quarterbacks. There's no way you can get any sleep when you're a quarterback going up against that defensive line next week.
Drew Hamilton will get credited with a pass deflection as well. Drop back, Reno shook 1 sack, shook a second, runs downfield. He's got 9 out of that.
And that is really cool to see. You know, he was on him like a hot tin roof. And the play right here, it completely breaks down. There's no coverage. DJ Woods had him dead to rights, but Johnny Reno found a way to escape.
Quarter done on the road here. Vancouver lead this one 10 points to nothing. Back here at Northwood Stadium at St. Paul, Minnesota. The Legend with possession down 10 points to nothing. I'm Jacob Clear. That is Jesse Long. We've got Rochelle Colston and Mark Mello running the numbers for us here. Commissioner Cameron over. I'm producing, as always, for the Virtual Football Network. You're watching the Simulation Football League. First down run by Johnny Reno. We've seen a few designed QB sneaks today. One of them was a touchdown run down the other end. That one a first down run for the Minnesota offense.
He really put all of his weight into it. Like, I saw Marquise Reed get driven forward with him.
Toss play to the outside. Hart spin move. Bought an extra couple of yards there.
Yeah, they do that really well. They are very good at running the football. And Colin Hart has been a horseback. In his last 4 games, he's carried the ball at least 18 times, 20, 25 times. They rely on him to keep carrying that rock and pounding it.
Isaac Knox hasn't had a touch yet, and that will remain as such because they threw out of an Ajax formation there, and that pass falls incomplete.
Yeah, that was one of those passes that you look at it, and physics is weird, and sometimes it's so weird you just kind of can't understand how football falls that way, but the ball bounces funny, it falls funny, and that's kind of what makes the Simulation Football League so much fun to watch.
Checks back in there. Triple formation, single back off to the right of Reno. He'll drop back, got good protection. Raven, a great block. He bought time, and it's incomplete. Boy, Reno had to do better there with the protection, and Vancouver will get off the field.
Yeah, it was catchable, and it hit Jay Taylor's hands. You know, if there would have been contact, but with Jay Taylor's frame, 6'5", 220, I definitely feel he could have wrangled it in. It just looked like it needed to be a better pass.
Malillo, a 3rd straight punt here for Minnesota, so things starting to stack against them here. And we fielded 23 yards away from the Vancouver line. And again, Legion haven't really done anything wrong. Last scoring drive resulted in a 2-yard rushing touchdown to Christian Brown. They find themselves up 10 points to nothing. Now with possession back here again. Formation down to the bottom. Drop back again by Brown. He has time. Throws to the flats. It's caught by Sudduth. It'll be a gain of 1, a loss of 1 rather. Shut down behind the line of scrimmage by Stephen Black.
And actually a very good job of having the right formation for what Vancouver was bringing out. You know, that was a dollar formation. It had 6 defensive backs and 1 linebacker.
throw. It's caught. Be a gain of 7, including the yard lost. Ezekiel Bear with the reception, and it'll be a 3rd down and 4.
Well, Minnesota, is now relying on bringing out more of these defensive back packages, 4 defensive backs, 5 DBs, 6 DBs, to kind of counter the flood of these receivers and Christian Brown's passing efficiency.
Sabbath will be moved from the fullback spot up into a receiver slot. It'll be a toss play to the outside to Wells. Broke the first tackle, then broke the second. Alvarado pursues him out of bounds. Jalen Wells with another crucial 3rd down run.
He is just so shifty, right? You think you got him dead to rights, and then he makes a tackle. He breaks a tackle. He makes a move. Just some guys are just hard to bring down.
Yeah, 1st down here for the Vancouver offense. Lloyd back in the backfield. Minnesota just can't quite seem to get this rushing attack in those short down situations. That'll help. That's only a 1-yard gain.
Now you got to continue to control the line of scrimmage, especially if you're Minnesota here, because you have to not let them get 3 yards here, 4 yards there, and stay balanced.
Lloyd again is the back. Brown throws again. That is caught in the midfield. Gain of about 10. Brett Killian with his 2nd catch of the game.
It's just, how do you get this guy, right? I mean, how do you stop Christian Brown? I mean, both of those playmakers are coming off the edge. Those edge rushers are about to get to him. But he stays so calm and composed in the pocket and finds Brett Killian for an easy pitch and catch. It's going to put them closer to field goal range and into the midfield.
Swing the receiver across to the other side. They're up over halfway again here. The Legion. Drop back by Brown. Throws across. That is well jarred free. Good defensive response there. Derek Meerkat forces the ball free.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do against these receivers. You have to stay on them and never decommit. The really great defensive backs always know that it's never a completion until it's fully caught. You can just fight, claw, tooth and nail every single step of that way through the receiver's body.
Into the Jokers formation again. They've tossed out of it. Oh boy, that was lucky for Jalen Wells. The linebacker nearly picked that off, and it'll in the end be a gain of about a couple and a 3rd down and long. So different situation here for Minnesota to try and get off the field. Back-to-back good plays. Into the empty, so Brown will have to throw for it. They send extra pressure, throwing downfield. He's overthrown it, and it is intercepted by Derek Meerkat up past the 40. Minnesota get the result they so desperately needed.
That was made possible by not only the play you see now, but the play before that. They were disadvantaged and in the wrong spot, and a great tackle by Chris Stash fired up this defense. And Derek Meerkat said, you know what, I'm going to lurk back here. And he throws it for the Sir Sudeth, but he just throws it way too far overhead. Derek Meerkat makes that catch, and now Minnesota's got this crowd fired up, got this team fired up, and now it's time to take advantage of this opportunity and for Minnesota to put points on the board.
Starting field position of the afternoon so far for Minnesota as well. A 60-yard drive required for a major score. 6.5 minutes left in the second. Handoff up the middle. It's Colin Hart, who's got plenty of room to run into that time. Fresh 1st down.
Every time he picks up the ball, he goes somewhere with it. I mean, that's a 10-yard run there right through, and great blocking here to go into that 2nd level. And he still makes the tackle. Josh Twenty's still able to get through. But, man, when your receivers, your tight ends are able to get deep in that 2nd level, that's when you hit some real bonus.
Reno in an empty backfield. Drop back, has good protection up front, throws incomplete. Boy, those throws to the flats are risky when you try and put together. Don't jinx it now, but Minnesota have not been inside Vancouver territory at all so far today in the opening quarter and a half.
You know the announcer's curse. I keep hearing about it. I read about it in books. I see it in movies. It's not a thing.
Triple. Hopefully they get at least a yard here and not make me look like a goose. Reno's going to throw. It is caught. Now they're inside Vancouver territory. These are Powell's first catch of the game.
Let me tell you, you keep doing that, they're going to make you a golden goose. A beautiful 15-yard gain right here. Gap right in the middle, and just all day long to throw it. And just take what the defense gives you before you get too greedy. And now they're just outside of field goal range, so they have to keep moving here. Momentum feels like it's on Minnesota's side right now.
17-yard reception for the 16-season veteran. Most experienced player on this offense. That throw is incomplete.
Sometimes you
nearly
don't
intercepted.
Yeah, because he was lurking back there. And a lot of times, quarterbacks are visual hunters, but they're hunting apex predators. And those defensive backs, those linebackers, they can just sneak back and stay hidden, and then quarterbacks lose sight of them.
Back into the triple. They're going to motion France across to the other side to create a stack on the left. Single back is Hart. Potential for extra run blocking that side. That is the case, and Colin Hart will get 6 on that run.
Had a truck he could run through. Sometimes the offensive line just takes care of it right at the first level and just bang right through the hole. Just another great run by Colin Hart. 32 yards and 7 carries.
Knox is back out there again. He hasn't had a touch yet. It'll be a third down, so he may not get it again here. Drop back by Reno. Throws in and out of a hand of a Vancouver defender, and it falls away incomplete. Mark Lopez got his mitts to that one. It was France who was the intended target. And it looks like Mickey Malillo will be the first scorer for the Minnesota Legend, a 44-yard attempt.
There we go. It's a long one. Not a gimme.
On the far left-hand side of the hash. Swings it from left to right. He's just snuck that in. Boy, Mickey Malillo was very, very close there, but it's a 10-3 lead for Vancouver nonetheless.
Yeah, that looks like that ball. Like, you're probably going to find yellow flakes right on the laces. It just turned it back inside. But hey, you know, close is as good as right down the middle.
All counts the same. So again, Minnesota will kick it back to Ezekiel Bear. No return. There is a significant breeze going from right to left of your screen. That's the second time one of those kickoffs has gone way out of the end zone. That may have been to the detriment of Malillo on that field goal attempt just before. But Vancouver will start this drive 20 yards away from their own goal line with a single score lead. Minnesota, despite their offensive struggles, are still very much in this game. Handoff on a toss play, and he's dumped behind the line of scrimmage. These linebackers are starting to turn it up here for Minnesota as Lloyd loses 2.
They really are. And we talked about how what Vancouver likes to do is get hot out the gate, and they're mortal if you can slow them down in the beginning. Minnesota's defense is stepping up and is starting to establish control of the momentum of this football game.
Free the top. Brown's going to throw it quickly, and he was hit from behind the receiver. There was Ezekiel Bear who was the target, and jarred free from behind. Nicholas Frossel's back out there after he was injured on the opening drive. And it'll be a third down and very long for Vancouver. So Minnesota could respond back-to-back immediately.
Yeah, really could. And Bear only would have gotten a few yards out of that anyway.
Trips to the top. Single linebacker is Alvarado. Drop back by Brown, throws deep, it is in there. Oh my goodness me. The Minnesota defender had that dead to rights, and Brett Killian has somehow ended up with it.
Oh, just when you think you got Houdini, right? Man, here goes that man. Tall frame, 6'5", 240, in triple coverage. Just goes up and finds a way to come down with it.
Thought for sure Johnny Bravo had that in the 50-50 situation, and Killian comes down with it. This run, he beats Frossel. Alvarado eventually lights him up, but it's an 8-yard run. Jalen Wells starting to piece together one of his best performances of the season.
He really is. And in this run, this is just all about toughness. Get off me. Get off me. toughness, pushing, fighting. Sometimes as a running back, it's not pretty. You just have to keep fighting and clawing for every single yard. And that also motivates your offense and your defenders on the sidelines.
Design run by Christian Brown. Was half expecting him to throw there in that situation, but they decided to play the conservative. First down nonetheless. They are up past halfway again here, Vancouver. Offense has been clinical, minus that interception on the last drive, but Brown so far has thrown that off. Killian with that reception 2 plays ago. Dropped back by Brown. They were rushed. Oh, Killian nearly dropped it. Eventually, he has it on the second effort there, and it's a 12-yard gain and a first down.
And a good way to string together 2 different plays. Sometimes you just want to take the first down so you have it. And then look at this throw. The defender, Stephen Black, the moment he cuts to the left side, there's nothing but a wide open gap in the middle. And Killian, he didn't have it for a second, but of course the concentration to bring it into the breadbasket and keep with it. Now they're outside of field goal range.
Trips to the bottom for Brown. He'll throw again, throws short, across the middle. That is caught for a gain of 8. For Nick Lockett, rather. That last play from Killian, what a weird contradiction. That 50-50 ball that he pulled down, and he's wide open and nearly drops it cold. You've never seen anything like it. Second and short,
it really
into
is.
A joker's look. Sorry, Jesse. Split backfield. Pressure on the other side. They're going to rush it, and what a brilliant read there. Chris Stash blows it up in the backfield.
Well, Chris Stash, thanks for buying me some time in this absolute barn burner of the final 2 minutes of this half.
2-minute warning here, Vancouver with the football. Minnesota really need to prevent a score here. At least a major one. Field goal's not the end of the world.
Right. It really is damage control here, or forcing a turnover.
You need 2.5 for a first down here. Into a joker's look. We've seen design QB runs out of here. They've seen passes as well. Will be the former. Brown doesn't get it.
Yeah, he don't. Shut down right on the line. 4th and 1, and that's going to force a field goal attempt. And that was a huge play by this Minnesota defense to set the tone and make it a manageable ball game. And they're going to get the ball back with some time left, so let's see what they do with it.
Mark Mello picked him up and dragged him backwards. So as a result, it's a 44-yard attempt for chance to win, the same distance that Melillo had. Minnesota don't stop the clock. Swing it right to left again. The wind gets it a bit of carry with that one. Is through the middle of the uprights, and Vancouver cancel out that last field goal from Minnesota, but that's really the result you wanted once they got past halfway.
Yeah, it really is. And at the time, Vancouver was not only moving, but they were moving at a very hectic pace. That was a real-time strategy game that they were playing. And for Minnesota's defense to make those adjustments on the fly with the personnel that they had, that is a really good job by this defense. And that's going to play a huge part in them hopefully winning this football game.
Vincent's got room to make a return here, but the block didn't quite develop. He'll get 25 on the return. So despite the fact that Minnesota have less than half of the total offensive yardage of the Vancouver Legion, this one still within 2 scores. Minnesota with the football back here. They're trying to be the last team to have it in the opening half and get a score on the board before they enter the halftime sheds. Bunched to the bottom of the screen. Jason France was in a receiver spot. He'll move to the outside here. It'll be a run up the middle to Colin Hart, and he will get 5. We'll see if they speed it up here.
And what's also kind of hurting them so far in this game is that they're getting these really good steady runs with Colin Hart, but they're not able to get them to translate in the passing game.
Jokers formation here again. They project a run. Isaac Knox will get his first carry of the game. He'll carry it forward and we'll get 4.5 of the required 5. Minnesota calls their first timeout.
Very nicely done. You get a 10-yarder there. And remember, you know, you could play the touchdown here. You could play the big ball. But if you're able to get a field goal out of it, that's not entirely bad.
Run game now, they will throw. Reno, it is incomplete. Boy, interesting strategy there. Again, we've seen them pass out of the Jacks formation before today to little success. And such is the case again. And with 38 seconds on the board, they're going to give Vancouver another shot at it here if they want to take it. Malillo will punt it away. Just decent. Again, that wind is a real factor. And as a result, it's going to give Ezekiel Bear little room to run into. So 75 yards in under 30 seconds. You would imagine Vancouver will be happy to get this one into the set as the scoreline is.
Well, you'd be surprised at how much risk you want to take. You can go deep verticals and throw into that pocket, but you're going to get the ball the second half. So I think the wise coaching decision is to just run it out.
Minnesota Arena run defense here. They're going to motion a receiver across the other side. Picked up by Starsh down the bottom. That's a throw. It is incomplete and it bobbled up for a second there. And it was read by David Levers, who thought he might have had a shot at it, but in the end it falls away.
Well, thankfully, Christian Brown throws it off the break, because if that route is broken off wrong and that shows up too late, it's a very easy interception and house call. It could have been a lot worse.
They usually throw the street routes out of this formation to get these receivers downfield. Lockett will move in motion. So they got Killian and Lockett up the top there. Sudduth is down the bottom. Sudduth will run around as a fullback. Brown with plenty of time. Throws to the Sudduth. It's intercepted. Going back the other way. Stephen Black has a pick six on halftime.
Wow. Just wow. These are the plays that you need from your defense, that you need for you to look at this. He throws it and he has no idea. Sudduth has no idea that the defender is in the vicinity. He just never sees it coming. He has no idea that Black is there. No chance to come back and try to possibly swat it down or do anything with it. And Christian Brown just hands Minnesota a touchdown.
Those passing plays out of the Eye Jokers formation last week were absolute money for Vancouver. And here today, the scouting work from Minnesota has been successful because they have actually been to their detriment. And the Legend, despite no points of offense, find themselves within a single score. And Vancouver will be left asking themselves many questions at halftime. A return by Ezekiel Bear goes up the middle. He'll get this to the 30, 12 seconds left on the clock. And when you thought they were going to just trot it in, they went for it in questionable fashion, given the way that they attempted to throw to the flats, get some simple yardage and passing game. In the end, it results in a pick six. Stephen Black has the only major score of the half for the Legend.
And bouquet of flowers to give Stephen Black for his first defensive touchdown of his career. Well done.
There you go. 9 seasons in the league, spent 4 of which with Florida, 5 with the Legend, and his first touchdown. Drop back by Brown. He's going to throw again. Throws. Caught. Sudduth downfield. Now he's got that target. Sudduth may have stepped out of bounds. They're going to give him an extra 5 yards. I wonder if that'll be challenged by Axel Raven.
Yeah, at this point, that is a challenge you will want to make. Every yard is a very valuable piece of real estate here. Yeah, there should be a challenge flag coming up here. Oh, the booth is reviewing the play.
Of course, we're inside 2 minutes, so it is a booth review situation. You're absolutely right. He stepped out of bounds probably about 4 or 5 yards before he was eventually marked out. It was pretty straightforward.
Well, it might be a booth review, but if all the fans had flags, there would be 70,000 flags out on that field right now. For sure. It's definitely looking like it's coming back.
It's not a huge loss for Vancouver, all things considered, but it is important nonetheless. We'll see if they continue to go the air here. They've got 7 seconds. They can stop the clock if they are able to get it off. So you could potentially have 2 extra plays here if you want to go for it. Again, Brown, 2 interceptions in the half. He was clean against the Dragons a week ago. Into a Joker's look. They will run the toss plays. Wells, he'll run, gets about 5. They will not call a timeout, and that will be your halftime score. Wow, a lot to unpack there. It is Minnesota who trail here at home through a very late pick 6 by Stephen Black. They remain within a single score here at halftime. Vancouver leads this one 13 points to 10. Jesse Long, your halftime keys.
You know, I love these kind of games because you look at the stats, right? And the stats should say, okay, Vancouver should be ahead by 2 scores. But you look at how this game is actually played out, and it's just a 1 field goal game. You know, the key to games like this is to stay close with a team like Vancouver. You know, if you let them run away from you, they're going to keep getting away from you. We saw this last week against DC. Right? They kept it close. DC was able to get them in the end. Minnesota's a scrappy team. And remember, this squad, they're playing for their playoff lives right now. Now, Vancouver, they want to secure better positioning in the first round bye. But a team that's fighting to survive is a much different animal. And we are seeing them really perform stellarly right now in their home stadium right here. And it is just really beautiful to see this kind of work being performed right here and right now at Northwood Stadium in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Malillo kicks it to Ezekiel Bear, who's going to return it up to the 30. Pleasure to have your company here on the Virtual Football Network. I'm Jake McClear. That's Jesse Long in co-commentary with you this evening. We've got Rochelle Colston and Mark Mello running the numbers here on Stats. Commissioner Cameron Irvine producing back at SFL HQ for the Virtual Football Network. But a good game here. Both teams with plenty to play for. Minnesota have not had less than 7 wins since season 21. A loss tonight would break that streak and hamper their ability to get into the playoffs. They are chasing a 7-5 record that would give them the best chance of making the wild card after Denver clinched the Central last night. Vancouver start with the football here. It is carry for Jalen Wells. Let's check in with SFL HQ on the other Blake game block here this Saturday afternoon.
Thank you, Jacob. No fear for Johnny Pickler, who was hurt in the first half. He breaks off a tackle and gets a rushing touchdown. DC has less than 50 yards of offense in the first half, and the Steamers lead the Dragons 10-0. Back to you.
That's an upset brewing there on the other side of the block. The run for Lloyd, who is shut down at the line of scrimmage by Chris Starch, and Minnesota have just changed the momentum completely.
They really have, and you want to keep riding this rush. What you can't do as this Minnesota defense is allow Vancouver to score here or make a big play here. You want to own the momentum.
Drop back by Brown. He has time, throws deep. It is caught by Ezekiel Bear at midfield.
But I didn't say that was going to be easy to do, especially when you got a playmaker like Ezekiel, the big bear. Look at this grab. Tight coverage. He knows he's going to get stuck. He knows he's got a safety waiting for him to drive another shoulder into that big old strong belly as he catches another pass. 6'3", all 225 of him.
Drop back by Brown. He's got time to throw, caught by Sudduth. Broke a tackle. John Michael Sudduth is pushed out of bounds. They're really good in their effort because he was about to turn that one downfield. Big gain of 6.
And he had to be really careful here because these kind of short-range lollipop throws, Christian Brown has had a tendency this evening to put a little too much air under them. He already got caught with his hand in the cookie jar once, and his team paid the price for it. Yeah.
Toss play to the outside. Wells broke the first tackle. He's shut down by Meerkat. Derek Meerkat's putting together a performance today.
He really is. And what's making that performance so powerful is that whenever somebody starts the tackle, he's right there to finish the tackle. And that's what has led to Minnesota's defense being in the position that it is.
Joker's formation will be a run for Brown. He gets the first down there on the ground. His 5th carry of the afternoon. He's now closer to 20 yards, so being efficient with those designed quarterback runs. And Vancouver have a fresh set of downs here, 30 yards away from their own goal line. It's back into the Joker's look. This time Brown will throw, looking downfield. He's got receivers open. It's Lockett inside the 10.
Too soft of a zone. You know, you drop back and you decide that you're going to try to find a zone spot to potentially lull him to sleep. But what happens here is you just give too much of a cushion there to Lockett to cut back inside. You know, when that entire second shell is entirely wide open against a team like Vancouver, you're going to give Christian Brown not only the opportunity to keep making passes, but develop his confidence and get it back.
The Jokers again, they're 7 yards away from another score. You could cancel out that pick 6 at the end of the first half. They had nearly 300 yards of total offense inside just over 2 quarters. Drop back by Brown, throws to the flats, it's caught, and it rolling into the end zone with a stiff arm. Nick Lockett has 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Nick Lockett, you are for sure right about that. Nick Lockett has been Mr. Consistent and getting hot at the right time. And just look at this play here, the contact through the end zone. That is what you love to see, and that is what you need from your playmakers at this time of the season. This is the push, and we got to go hard. And I understand Vancouver, they're not at risk of going home, but they want to get that first round bye, and that's huge for the rest that you need to carry your team all the way to the championship game and beyond.
That kicks it back out to a 10-point margin. And Minnesota now really need to find answers with their offense. Shy of 100 in the opening half. They'll get the honours now. To win, punts it back to Quagman, who will not return it. And it will be trotted out to the 20. So the Legend, again, under 100 yards of offense. Their ground game has been stagnated. Passing game has been hereabouts, not utilised perhaps as much as we're used to. Only 1 carry in the opening half for Isaac Knox. Triple formation, single tight end off to the left. It'll be a toss play to Colin Hart. Got behind a blocker, 5 yards.
So this goes back to the thesis. So they're moving the ball very well on the ground. They're getting 4.6 yards a carry with Colin Hart and 3.5 with Ballmer. But Johnny Reno right now is 3 for 12 passing the football. They need to get him more efficient.
Drop back by Reno. Again, he throws in these heavy sets. He's found France this time across the field. Jason France is down.
He's hurt. He's hurt. The injury woes continue. That is a tough loss for them too, because when you've got the kind of pass rush, like the kind that's coming at Johnny Reno tonight, those tight ends give you a safety valve up close for you to get the ball out quickly. And it's going to be tough from here, but, you know, it's all about the next man up. So they're going to have to find ways to get their receivers to fill in that short-term role.
Sink back off to the right. Now Reno will drop back again, throws downfield, and he's caught in between 2 Vancouver defenders, spots Deezer Powell.
Good throw, because he was about to get annihilated by that defensive lineman. You're going to see it on the replay here. It looks like the offender is a 1. Achilles Papatonis. He just burst his way through the guard and onto the inside. And Johnny Reno has the presence of mind to make a really good throw here. Remember, this is your season 23 MVP. Johnny Reno is no slouch. He's a veteran, and he can sling it.
Into a triple formation again. They single back off to the right. They've kept this for most of today. Caught in the flats by Jay Taylor. First down. As those passing offense starting to get warm here in the second half. So again, Jason France down 2 plays ago. The 2 defenders they lost on the opening position of the game, Alvarado and Frossel, both returned. So they're only down 1 player in the medical tent, but they have a fresh set of downs here. Their offense starting to find its groove. here on this possession. They'll keep the triple formation again. Hart angled off to the right. 4-2 defense out of Vancouver. No pressure shown. They're going to send the 4. It's Hart. Only a gain of 1 there.
Yeah, and this is one of the issues when you run on first down. If you get a solid gain, like 3 yards or 7 yards, you really open up your playbook. But when you get stuffed at the line like you did just there, you've got to open up that passing game here. And it looks like they have. 5 wide, baby.
3 wide to the top here. Again, they've been very consistent with their formation choices tonight, Minnesota. Reno's going to roll into the pocket. Throws deep. It's caught in traffic, and they're going to be spotted just shy of the 5-yard line. EJ Minson's first catch of the game.
Good rollout, because it looks like Kevin Brackett got free. Because when you got only 5 down linemen against these just 5-on-4 sets with the D linemen, you got to get that ball out fast. And Johnny Reno made a nice little rollout to the left. It was not a big one, but it bought him enough time to make that huge completion. And now they're knocking on the door.
7 to go. Minnesota chasing their first score of the game out of their offense. Hand off to Colin Hart, who break the first tackle, but Mark Lopez shuts down at line of scrimmage. Got to shout out Mark Lopez. He's playing in this game, trying to watch his team play, and jumped in for us and helped us fix the stat sheet on the fly. We've now got the appropriate numbers we didn't have for about a half there. So love your work, Mark. And got to the run stop there as a result, as well as a little reward for his good work. Minnesota still chasing this score. It's Knox in the backfield now behind Barmer. Barmer's going to get the carry up the middle. Broke the first tackle. He's going to get 3, and they're inside the 5.
Yeah, Mark Lopez is a solid guy. Like, he also fixed that running back's face mask. It was a little bit off to the left, and then once he hit him and he got back up, it was centered again. Mark Lopez, he's a solid guy.
Jack's formation, they've thrown at this a few times today. That will be the case again. Reno stands in the pocket, and he's picked. Vancouver have got the football back. Emmanuel Blackman.
That's a killer, and Blackman's making up for that initial 10-yard gain that he gave up on the prior coverage, but that is just a bad throw. He needs to go inside with it so that it can be led into the receiver off of his right, but he just throws it too far to the outside, and then he's able to meet it at the point of attack. Great play by Emmanuel Blackman.
With all that work to get the ball downfield, and in the end, it's all for nil, not even a field goal as a reward for Minnesota. And they find themselves down by 10. Vancouver with the football back once more. Sudduth motioned into a slot position now. Dropped back by Brown. Good protection up front. Found Killian in between 2 defenders. Check out this Lockett with his 4th catch of the game.
Man, it's so hard to beat this squad. Wherever Brett Killian is, Nick Lockett is somewhere else, and Nick Lockett can do just as much damage. That's going to be his 5th reception. You can tack on another 15 yards to his total. That's going to put him at 80. I believe also that he's had 3 consecutive 100-yard games as well, and it could be a 4th this evening.
He was electric last week against DC in a loss. Throw, that's caught Killian. This time he's got it up past, or just shy halfway. In fact, he didn't quite get the rollover you normally see in those situations. Vancouver's starting to line it up again with their passing game.
You know, at some point, coaches just gave up on trying to, get him to catch the football with 2 hands. Every time I see Brett Killian catch a football, it's just like he's picking up a cup of coffee at Starbucks on the way out.
That catch gets Killian up to 92. They could have both of their outside receivers up over 100 today with the way that it's tracking. Run to the left-hand side. First touch of the day for JW. Doyle gets 3.
Yeah, and this is one of those times where Minnesota is going to have to bail out their offense again. This is going to have, they're going to have to think turnover here. This death by field goals will not save them.
Toss play the outside. Wells with room. Oh boy, but with good recovery there. It was looking like a problematic situation there as David Leathers was thrust in the ground there by that truck move, but it was a good recovery by Matthew Alvarado there to save the day, and it will be a 3rd down and very short 1 yard here to go for Vancouver's offense.
Jalen Wells, 5 yards of carry.
Start of motion down to the slot. They're going to run it straight to the middle. Devin Lloyd has the first down.
Simple. Sometimes all you need is to just get the foot or two that you need. So you can get the first down, regroup. Vancouver right now, we're now starting to figure out whose team time is on. Time is looking like it's on Vancouver's side.
Killian moved across in motion here. Fresh set of downs. They're 40 yards away now from Minnesota's goal line. Toss play the outside. Wells again. Give him 3. They chased him down there on that occasion. It was a combination of Stephen Black and Matthew Alvarado in pursuit. Vancouver starting to wither this clock away. Minnesota need to stop it. They need it quickly. Triple formation now. Pressure shown on the right-hand side. They're going to motion Angela Meerkat to the outside. We know she's a threat in those positions. We hand off to the other side, and Wells will lower the shoulder. Give him 4 there. In fact, it was the other back, Devin Lloyd, with that carry. 3rd down and short.
Really good push. You know, the stats might say 0.9 yards per carry, but using his legs to get more yards out of that, that's what you love to see. Every carry, every time.
Minnesota got to get off the field here. Hand off the outside on the toss play. Wells with a stiff arm. He doesn't get it. Huge stop there by Johnny Bravo.
And once again, these linebackers and defenders are just keeping their offense in the game.
1 quarter to go here at Northwood Stadium in St. Paul, Minnesota. Minnesota chasing the game here in the 4th. Vancouver set to kick a field goal here as we return. We'll keep within 2 scores. That was the golden mark. If it got beyond 2, you would imagine it would have been out of reach. But this attempt from Chance, we don't quite get the yardage here. Swings it left to right again. That wind carries it. And it will be a successful field goal attempt. Vancouver leads this by 13. I'm Jacob Clear. That's Jesse Long in co-commentary. Rochelle Colston and Mark Mello on stats with you this evening. Commissioner Cameron over on producing as always for the Virtual Football Network. You're watching the Simulation Football League here as we begin to enter the final 2 weeks of the season. Minnesota really need to get this win. They've got to dig deep. They're at home. They've got the fans behind them. And the effort needs to start now. Quegmam up past the 25 on the return.
And Minnesota, you know, their last 5 drives have been punt, interception, punt, interception. Now, of course, they got those points that they did off of that Vancouver interception. But Minnesota's defense has been doing its job to keep their offense in the game. This is a team game. When your defense has to step up and hard carry, they're doing what they got to do. But Minnesota's offense now has to do their part. They need touchdowns, not field goals here.
Single back off to the right here. Handoff will go to Colin Hart. He'll break 1 tackle and lower the shoulder into the second, give him a 7-yard gain.
And you've got time. You don't have to just throw the ball a lot here. If you're getting big plays like that, it's okay to take a little bit of time off the clock. As long as your offensive line can continue to play bully ball and push you further down the field on that. Colin Hart's averaging 4 yards a carry right now. 13 carries, 53 yards.
Into a Joker's look. It looks like Jason France is back out there. He's down the bottom of the formation. They're going to motion Deezer Powell from one side to the other. It'll be a handoff to Isaac Knox. He'll get the first down. So, again, they play the conservative, but gets the yardage required. They'll be able to push them downfield. You cast your mind back to their last possession, that interception in the end zone by Emmanuel Blackman. Made sure that this was a 13-point game. Could have been 10, more or less. He could have also scored a touchdown on that play as well. Reno throws short, caught by Powell, a 3-yard gain.
Good quick sling out there, right, because he was about to get blasted by Gerard Giudice, and this Vancouver defensive line may not have gotten to the quarterback today, but they have been absolutely in the quarterback's face all day. Johnny Reno has not had a good day because of that defensive line.
Spread receivers here, offset fullback to the side. It'll be another run for Colin Hart. Gets up the middle. give him 4 there on that carry, but 3rd down and 3. So decision time here for Axel Raven on the sideline. Again, the passing game has been good so far in this second half. Take away that interception. They've got Knox in the backfield and a heavy set. They've thrown out of this more often than not today. I'll do so again. Reno, a design run, it's blown up. Vancouver's defense saw that coming from 50 miles away, and Marquise Reed has lit him up in the backfield. And that is a huge break for Vancouver. They'll get the football back here with 7 minutes to go.
And I'm definitely going to guess that Marquise Reed annihilating the ball carrier was not part of that design. Wow.
Minimal return yardage. It'll be pushed back, you would imagine, here for a clip. Don't see that too often, so it is a result somewhere in the fire there for Minnesota, because Vancouver are going to start this drive 9 yards away from their own goal line.
Ooh.
And yeah, that one's fairly obvious.
Right there. Yep, you can't do that. That's not allowed there. Special teams is all about making the right decisions and right choices. Very underrated part of the game, but they're so crucial in so many ways.
Quads formation here. Stack of 3 receivers to the top. They'll be motioned to do quads rather. John Michael Suttoff now in the slot. That could be a matchup problem. Brown is just going to hand it off though. Hand it off to Devin Lloyd. Give him a 6-yard run. In fact, it's 34 in Jalen Wells. The odds seem to be stacked against the home minutes. It's going to be a tick over 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They need 2 scores. And Vancouver seem to have the tools necessary to get the job done here on offense. Brown's going to throw. Shook 1 sack through to the flats. It's caught by Suttoff, and he will roll forward for a 1st down.
You know, you're probably not going to see it unless you see the replay again. But you can see out there, it looked like that Christian Brown was about to get sacked. But the offensive lineman comes in and just annihilates the rusher at the very last second. Just a great job of the offensive line staying through all the way to the very bitter end to make sure that a huge play comes out of it. So that Bear could
huge swing play. It was nearly a loss of about 5 in the backfield that would have forced Vancouver into a rush on 3rd down and long. In the end, they get the 1st down. That one's blown up by Alvarado. They need plays from him. He's their star on the defensive side of the ball. That'll be a loss of 2.
He really is. And even though they're running out of time, Alvarado has established himself as a playmaker in this game. 2 TFLs, 6 tackles, and 1 assisted. And everywhere the ball is, he seems to be tonight.
I can do an empty backfield. They're going to motion Ezekiel Bear across to the other side. And no one covering the middle for Minnesota. Fan the lineman out. And pressure got inside, and it'll be a sack. That's the sack they needed earlier. Angela Meerkat on that one. In fact, it's Mark Mello and his 2nd one of the game. So an opportunity now for Minnesota. They will be able to get off the field here, you would imagine.
Yep, and Mark Mello is going to make it sack number 7.5 on the season, and showing why he's having an all-star caliber season right now. And that 1 sack might just be 1 sack in the stat column, but that was a huge defensive play at a critical moment in this football game.
Vancouver will go empty here. They could throw for it. They will go downfield, and it is caught. Oh, Minnesota, they had to get off the field there. And D'Angelo Lopez with his 1st catch of the game in one of the most crucial moments of it.
That's what I love about football. That's what I love about the SFL. Players say, you know what, I haven't had my 1st catch of the game yet. I'm going to do it right now, and my team really needs me the most. That's heartbreaking. 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Drop back for the flats, boy. Those have been risky for Christian Brown. Johnny Bravo ends up with a tackle instead of what was an interception. Again, you're casting behind back. The only score of the game for Minnesota beyond that Mickey Melillo field goal was that pick 6 for Stephen Black. That exact route was what forced that pick 6. Now inside the Joker formation, they're stacking the box. Be careful of the pass here. Brown is going to throw. He sent pressure and just dumps to the backfield. Suddeth with a stiff arm on Black, and it'll be a first down for JMS.
That's the right play. When you're offensive coordinator, you're making a bet. And Andy Hamilton says, I bet they're going to try to send the blitz, and they're going to send everybody. The moment it comes out, ball pops out, and Don Michael Suddeth just, good luck tackling that double wide refrigerator. He just keeps barreling over everybody.
6 receptions for Suddeth on the afternoon. Again in their Joker's look. Brown this time will run the toss play to the outside, and Lloyd will get 4. In fact, it's Wells in that running back spot in that formation. 5 yards, in fact, they'll give him, and we'll just slow things down for a half second here. Vancouver have taken some gambles here on this drive, but remain unscathed. Back into a Joker's look here on the second down and medium. Suddeth again at the fullback spot. He's run routes mostly out of this today. Hand off straight up the middle. And Black shuts that one down. It's a minimal gain. So inside 4 minutes, Vancouver another third down opportunity. But time now very much against the Legend.
Very true. And even if it's a minimal game, like you said, time right now is at a premium. And with the position that Vancouver's in, they're ahead 2 touchdowns. So not a bad thing to let the clock roll a little bit.
Into a Joker's look here on third down and 6. Do they throw? It'll be just a toss play outside the Wells. And beats one. Jalen Wells, that might be enough. Too good.
Should this result hold, your game ball is going to go to Jalen Wells. Every time they have needed big plays out of him, Suddeth gets a great block here too, but every time that they have needed big plays out of Jalen Wells, it has happened. When you have a dominant running game, it's very easy to have a dominant passing game. Great job on the evening for Jalen Wells.
Within 2 scores, where Vancouver have had nearly double, or in fact they've had double the amount of total yardage than that of the home Legend. It has been a dominant performance here thus far. Brown will throw. It's incomplete. Oh boy, Meerkat. He overran it. Didn't see the deflection. That was a huge opportunity that falls away incomplete.
Yeah, that duck was up there to be had by nearly anybody. It also stops the clock. Remember, we're still in miracle territory here. If they can hold them to a field goal or less, it's still a winnable ball game.
Again in the Jokers, Brown's going to throw. They send extra pressure, thrown to the flats. And it's the same scenario. This time it's Matthew Alvarado who's pulverized by John Michael Suddeth. And Vancouver have another first down inside 3 minutes. He steps out of bounds.
Let me tell you, John Michael Suddeth, when you're a big bully on wheels, when you're a big monster truck, you don't go around those little cars. You drive right over them. You crush them. You pulverize them. And they have been crushing and pulverizing with Suddeth tonight. Amazing performance. 7 receptions for 76. Now it's going to be 8th, and that's going to put him closer to 100.
Been one of the best on field today. Handoff on the middle. That one only a gain of 1 inside 3 minutes to go. You feel a task now for the Legend. Pending an interception here in the dying stages is too tall.
It's really the only thing that can save them. This team has to get a pick 6, fumble turnover. They have to score right now.
Done once already today, but Vancouver appear to be playing shutdown tentatively. Joker's formation, single tight end moves across to the other side. That's Killian. Toss play the outside. Wells runs straight at them. This time they sent 2 at him, and he's shut down for only a gain of a couple. A combination of Stephen Black and Stefan Forge. And that will take us down to the 2-minute warning. So plenty of work to do here for Minnesota if they're to save this and keep their season at a potential winning record. Two minutes to go. Here, can Minnesota somehow pull this one out of the fire? They will need a miracle. Vancouver have got them backed up towards their own goal line here. 3rd down and long. But imagine the strategy here for the Legion is just to run the football, and if you don't get it, you kick the field goal and you walk away here.
Right, up 2 scores, double eights.
Handle off. That will be not enough for a first down. Minnesota will call their first timeout, so a chance to win field goal. Technically doesn't kick it beyond 2 scores. They are up by 13, 16 points means 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions. But to win has already kicked 3 today. 48 yards was that earlier one that we didn't quite get the yardage of. This one he swings from left to right. It is successful, so he's 4 of 4. Vancouver lead by 16. Minnesota have under 2 minutes to try and get 2 scores.
And you make a very good point about being down by, 2 scores where you need 2 two-point conversions. But when you really think about it, it's really like needing 4 touchdowns. Just 2 of them are going to be marked at the 2-yard line. So you've really put Minnesota in a very hard place to find a victory here.
They've got to do it. They've got to do it quickly. Craig Mann's return is going to get them up to the 30. So the passing attack now has to come alive. It was successful to a point in that earlier third quarter when they had that drive that went downfield and then threw an interception 5 yards away from their own goal line into the midst of Emmanuel Blackman. That may have been the turning point of this game. They had to complete that, and they didn't. And now the task is extremely tall. Vancouver on the precipice of their 8th win of the season. Minnesota trying desperately not to fall to a 6th loss on the campaign. That would make the wild card hunt very difficult. But certainly not impossible, but...
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be hard.
Reno throws to the flex. It's caught by Minson. That was nearly intercepted. And going back the other direction would have been Mark Lopez. But in the end, it's a 9-yard gain for EJ. And he got out of bounds as well to stop the clock. What a play by Minson down the stretch to keep this game somehow within reach.
That also inspires your squad, too. Lets them know that I don't think we're out of it. We've still got a shot.
It could have been anything for Minnesota. In the end, they find themselves at the 40. A minute 42 left on the ticker. Reno, of course, will drop back again. That's incomplete. Oh, my goodness. It was that one again nearly intercepted, but this time there was no Minnesota receiver on the end of it. And DJ Woods will be credited with a pass deflection.
And that's the beauty of having this defensive line. Brackett, Papatonis, Joseph, Giudice. You can just run those 4 right now and just keep your back 7 on patrol.
3 wide. Reno throws. It is incomplete. 4th and 1. This is your football game.
Yeah, he had it for a second and dropped it. This is the game. Like you said, Jacob, this is the game here. This is your playoff life.
Hard in the backfield. Again, the triple formation is the call from Axel Raven on the sideline. They must get a first down here. Only a yard required, but you feel they will go to the air again here. Reno drops back, throws the flats. It's caught by Hart. They're going to get into the no huddle. No, they're going to stop the clock.
They get the first down, but, they're not moving much closer to the end zone. Remember, they got to score twice. They got to get the onside kick. And, Johnny Reno's been a little hotter in the second half, but right now at this very point in time, they need bigger plays.
They're going to go into what was a bunch formation. It's now going to be a stack of 2 on either side. Reno will drop back, sends it deep. It is over the top of the defense and incomplete, looking for Deezer Powell.
Yeah, running 4 with 7 in the back, especially if they run 4-2-5 or even a 4-1-6, which they could also do at this juncture, even with Colin Hart back there. It still gives you so many options to just easily make a turnover and end this football game.
Trips to the top now. Single receiver down the bottom is Deezer Powell. Throw, that's tipped up and incomplete. 3rd down. Before we get to that 3rd down, let's check in on the result of Bossier City against DC.
Thank you, Jacob. Just a shocking result today in Louisiana as Shabazz Synergy's pass here is picked off the deflection. The Bossier City Steamers shutting out the Dragons in the final stages of this one, 17-0. Back to you.
Wild week of SFL football. Reno to throw downfield. It is up and incomplete. Quagman nearly had it in the end. Minson was the target. Lopez with a deflection, 4th down and 10. They will have to convert another 4th down here from a long range situation. So DC shockingly shut out. Bossier City have only had 2 wins in season 25. DC have had 8, and they have shut out the Dragons in impressive fashion. What a result for the Bossier City Steamers. And meanwhile, Minnesota trying to save the day here. Reno drop backs. It is intercepted at the back there. It's Drew Hamilton who will come away with it. He's going to try and return it for 6. And he will get downfield. Beats Raven. Drew Hamilton inside the 20. Inside the 10. Drew Hamilton, game, set, bingo. Vancouver has their 8th win of the campaign and has clinched the division.
And the free space right in the middle of that bingo card is Gerald Giudice. That's what makes it possible. He bursts right through the front. Johnny Reno has no time to think. He has to throw the ball and do something, and he just throws it somewhere. And the problem is when you take a wild guess, you've got players like Drew Hamilton with a pick 6. And this one is definitely over. That was a huge play in that moment by Drew Hamilton. Hats off to you there, young man. Great play.
Vancouver with a convincing win here on the road, 33-10. Again, they were stunned last week against the DC Dragons, who have been shut out on the other side of the block. What a shocking turn of events here in Minnesota. Have fallen to back-to-back losses. This one less for sting perhaps than the other game last Monday, where they fell short of the Denver Nightwings in a game that had over 1,000 yards of combined offense on Monday Night Football. But Vancouver have just totally dominated them here at home. Minson's going to return it up past the 25 to 27. They'll get another shot at it.
No cool little piece of trivia. Drew Hamilton just got his 3rd TD. He's tied with Jack Russell for career. 3 TDs. He's probably sitting on the sideline. He's like, hey, I got 3 TDs now. See how? I'm as good as you now. Ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? They're having a lot of fun out there, the Vancouver defense. Man, they stepped up, did a great job, and this legend team, it's a heartbreaker. It's really the only way to look at it. You know, right now we are, and there's another.
Oh, mama, he's got another one. Oh, Johnny Reno, it has not been your afternoon. Vancouver's secondary, Emmanuel Blackman's got a brace.
He's got a double, too. That's the 2nd interception on the game. And at that point, you're going to throw anything to the wall to see if it sticks. But this is just, with this season, on the bubble, they needed to win their next 3 games to have a shot. There's still a chance if they win their next 2 meetings coming up. But at this point, it's just, you need a lot of math to work out. You need a lot of things to work out, and it's very tough at this point. If you look at Minnesota's next coming games, they've got to go on the road against the Pittsburgh Riverhawks. That's going to be a hard game to win, especially when you're coming off a loss. And the Fort Worth Toros are more mortal. But, yeah, this is a tough one, especially to see Vancouver on the other side of the victory formation. And good on Vancouver to just handle business coming in here and winning on the road.
The Vancouver Legion have got 2 division games left in the season. They will host the Washington Trident back in Canada, and then they'll head over to the Sin City Samurai. It's not the easiest finish the season for the Legion, but they are undefeated in the division thus far. Meanwhile, for Minnesota, they, again, as you mentioned, have to travel to the Riverhogs and then host the Fort Worth Toros back here at the stadium. You feel the next game is the one that they absolutely have to win if they are to keep this season alive. They will fall to 4-6. You feel they need to win out to get to that 500 record and keep themselves in pace for a potential wildcard spot. Such was the case heading into the night is worth noting after Denver clinched the Central last night. Ends full time here. A convincing win for the Vancouver Legion. They win this one 33 points to 10. Jesse Long, with due respect to Minnesota, it felt like they were never in it tonight.
Yeah, it really did. And, you know, that defense gave them the opportunities to capitalize and make it a ball game, but they just made too many mistakes at the end, especially that turnover, just like you said before, where Blackman picked it off in the end zone. To get so close so far and just come up with nothing. Vancouver was able to control the game psychologically as well. And, you know, obviously you got a game ball going to Jalen Wells, but also a game ball to John Michael Sudduth. Just had an amazing game on the outskirts. You know, Killian and Lopillian and Nick Lockett did what they usually do. D'Angelo Lopez, I believe that might be his first catch of the season, and a huge time to get that first catch. So it's really fantastic to see that.
That wraps things up here.
Yeah.
That wraps things up here in Minnesota, in St. Paul, Minnesota. The Vancouver Legion have won this one convincingly. For Jacob Clear, that's Jesse Long in co-commentary, Rochelle Colston and Mark Mello running stats for us this evening. We say thank you for watching the Virtual Football Network. 2 games upcoming starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you then. This one ends here at St. Paul, Minnesota. The Vancouver Legion 33, Minnesota 10.